Kia ora, good evening. Look, I've been watching all this fear-mongering that's been pumped out on X. X thrives on feeding fear to people, and people are falling for it. And by the own admissions of people in the World Economic Forum, they're putting this stuff out there knowing that it's feeding the fear because they're testing to see how people are going to react to it. They admitted the whole COVID pandemic was a lie. COVID has been around for a long time because it was engineered in a lab when they came up with the Spanish flu, when they came up with malaria, when they came up with typhoid. If you look them up, malaria, Spanish flu, typhoid, they're all COVID. And now COVID is HIV and AIDS as well. It's monkeypox. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. And they were all bioengineered in order to kill off the population. That's my stomach. Sorry, I've been eating my dinner and I had to stop eating to get this message out. So my stomach is gurgling. Hang on. I was trying not to belch when it was counting down to turn the live on. But I've literally just been sitting here with my dinner. And I put my fork down mid-eating to put this live out because it's like, when are people going to wake up and realise that these people, no matter what they threaten you with, aren't the ones in control? They might have the media in their pocket, they might have judges and stuff in their pocket, but if every single person on the planet stands up and rises together and says no more, they are powerless. They have the power because because you let them think they have the power. There are these people all on X, or what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I just keep saying, well, you could get them out of office. Hang on. Sorry, I'm trying not to burp and stuff. You can impeach Keir Starmer. Stop complaining. If you're not going to impeach Keir Starmer, don't complain about how there's nothing to do. You could petition the king. You could get Donald Trump sued. I've told you about the constitutional lie thing. You can demand that these EU members and they're under all investigations now for fraud and for election interference and for forcing everyone to vaccinate when it turns out it was all a lie. If you all stood together and sued them and took them to court, class action lawsuits, got them impeached, that sort of thing, they have no power over you anymore. These are civil servants. You need to look up what that word means. They are not God. They rule nothing. And they wouldn't rule anything if you hadn't have got them into power. And if you got them into power, then you have the right to get them out of power. You can petition, you can impeach, you can launch class action lawsuits. And you keep them fighting in the court system with the alternative, pay up or resign. Back them into the corner. Sorry, I'm trying not to. My stomach's making all sorts of noises and it's trying to come out through my mouth. They make you think there's nothing you can do because they don't want you to know that there's things you can do. They're forcing you to believe that you're powerless when you're not. You have the power. You're the taxpayer. You're the consumer. Stop buying, stop paying taxes. No taxation without representation. All everyone on the planet has to do is just stop working for 7 days and that's your government completely destroyed. But it means that everybody has to stand together. We're stronger together. Debbie's Law would shut a lot of this shit down faster than they can blink when it came to AI and digital threats and control. You know, I've been warning the king for the longest time, keep away from Trump, keep away from Starmer, they're leading you into trouble, right? So there's just been a lawsuit that started for some workers in Africa who got fired because they sued Meta for emotional distress, because when they were testing the Meta glasses, they were forced to have to watch people having sex and go into the bathroom. And Meta will download your face and your information and even point out the person's location and stuff like that, completely violating the rights of everyone on the planet if you're not the one wearing the glasses. And these employees were emotionally distressed because they were forced to have to watch hours and hours and hours of people during their intimate moments, having arguments in their home, having sex, that sort of thing. And Meta is refusing to protect children online. Melania Trump, who is a groomer on the Epstein files, who had a relationship with Epstein and then married the pedophile president, was proud of herself, prancing this AI thing for kids in schools. She's handing children to pedophile traffickers. She's handing these children under the guise of, teaching kids AI in schools to the Epstein Coalition. And we know about her and Trump. And so she's promoting this whole AI thing where the children, where the identities are going to be handed to people like Grok Imagine to be turned into pornography, which is so classic coalition of Epstein. But then they put those Meta glasses on Queen Camilla, didn't they? And then they were talking about how wonderful these glasses are, and these very glasses are now in a class action lawsuit for recording and watching people having sex, which can be uploaded onto the internet, and they've walked the king straight into it. So now the king has been seen, well, Queen Camilla has been seen wearing glasses that a pedophile president and his pedophile loving wife are selling to the public to put everyone's children's in a database that pedophiles will have access to, and they got the king to promote the glasses. He walked right into it. So now when shit hits the fan, people will say, well, why was the king promoting the glasses then? Why was Queen Camilla wearing the glasses? When they had their state visit, why were they wearing these glasses and promoting these glasses that had been caught up in a class action lawsuit to do with violations of people's privacy when it comes to sexual content? This is what I'm saying. Debbie's Law would hold Meta accountable, and the country that allowed it to happen, and the country that did nothing to protect the employees, the children, the people on the other end of the glasses. But the king walked right into it. And I said to him last year, and I said to him this year, ever since they got you in on the World Economic Forum circuit, it was with the purpose of making sure that you were seen with all these people, so when the shit hits the fan, they can throw you under the bus first. Because you won't be able to defend yourself because you're going to have been seen. I said they got you and your family in with Epstein with the express purpose of throwing you under the bus so that they could abolish the monarchy, and that's exactly what's happening. People are now doubling down on abolish the monarchy, not my king. Doubling down on it. He keeps getting further and further and further and further pulled into the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, human trafficking, digital pornography farming, identity theft route that all the Epsteiners are gagging over because they all make money off it. They've all got, digital ID apps and digital this and AI this. They're all invested in it, so of course they're going to help each other get rich. And the king's like, walked straight into it. He stood up there and gave his support for a war in Ukraine, not realising that under the law, he's supposed to be asking the British public for permission for the money to go to war. And then Parliament is supposed to take the vote to the people. Can we up the taxes? The Bill of Rights and no taxation without representation. The Bill of Rights and petition of rights. Parliament has to ask your permission to raise your taxes. They have to take it to a national vote. But they haven't told you that. And if a king wants to go to war, he has to borrow money from the taxpayer with the promise that he'll pay it back. Otherwise, there's no taxation without representation. By law, you can withhold paying all your taxes until you're represented properly by your MP and your Prime Minister and your king. And if the king doesn't listen, you're allowed to kick him off the throne. And I told him it was coming, and he didn't listen. And then he stood up there and supported a war for Ukraine, where absolutely 100% support the people of Ukraine, but not the war in Ukraine, because the war in Ukraine was done with the purpose of wiping the people of Ukraine out. They want a genocide. They want Ukraine for themselves so that they can turn it into the Holy Land for the people that escape Israel. They've admitted the war in Ukraine is to wipe out the Slavs. So while you've got people saying, yay, Ukraine, and boo, Russia, Russia's trying to save the people of Ukraine from being wiped out, because they're trying to wipe the Russians out as well, because they're Slavs too. And our king's up there, rah, 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 kill the Slavs, genocide the Slavs. It's like he hasn't thought about the consequences of what he's been rolling around in. And it's looking really bad for him now, because now he just looks like somebody who is either... It's making him look like one of them. And all people are doing is complaining about it. And it's like, but we'll do something about it. They are few, we are many. If we all stood together and we brought in Debbie's law, those Meta glasses wouldn't be able to do a damn thing, because if anyone saw you wearing them, they'd say, I don't give you permission to use my face or my voice or my likeness. And the glasses would be forced to shut down and turn into normal glasses and deny those glasses access to anyone's faces without consent. They would have to be by law identified as AI glasses. So as soon as they were put on, if anyone's seen walking around the street wearing one, the people would just hold up their hand and say, I don't give you permission to use my voice or my image, and the glasses would be forced to shut down. Because they're taking those images and putting them in sexual context. And our king walked right into it. So now he just looks like he's promoting genocide and pedophilia and the exploitation of people online. And the thing is, people will be making videos about Catherine. People will be making videos about Charlotte. People will be making videos about George and Louis as well. Queen Camilla, I can guarantee you there will be AI pornography all over the internet with their faces all over it. And he's just walked straight into it. Putting those glasses on, promoting those glasses, standing up for Ukraine. But what you need to understand is that it doesn't matter what they threaten you with, they have no power over you. Once you realise they have no power over you. But it's going to require all of us to stand together. I'm telling you now, Debbie's law would shut all that shit down so fast to any country that signed up to it. Because any country that's honest and cares about their people and cares about the future of children would sign up to it. But social media would be forced to sign up to it anyway, like X and Instagram and that, they would have to sign up to it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed in the countries that signed up to Debbie's law. but it will show you who the good guys are and who the bad guys are as to who signs up to it and who tries to shut it down. Because the only people that will want to shut it down are people who benefit from child pornography, sex trafficking, pornography, and identity theft. I heard from British Gas, by the way. All they said to me was that the money had been put in someone else's account. The money had been put on someone else's account and it has been taken from their account and put into mine. That the problem has been rectified. But I don't know whose account it was. I don't know how they had access to it. I don't know how they stopped it between going from my bank to British Gas's. According to British Gas, when I contacted them the other day, they said the payment had been put on hold. But what they said to me today after they did their investigation is that it had been put on hold on their end to make it look like I hadn't paid, but it had actually been put into somebody else's account. But they've taken it back. I don't know who, I don't know where, what, why, how, blah. All I know is that my reputation has been cleared. Because that's what I said to him the other day. All I care about is my reputation. I said, because I pay my bills on the same day every day. As soon as I get paid, those bills are paid immediately. I said, I don't miss payments. And he said, yeah, I can see that. And we went over the account numbers. We went over their account numbers, my account numbers, 3-4 times the other day. And he was like, look, I'm going to have to get the fraud team involved. And then I heard from them today, and all they said was that it had been put in someone else's account. And that it had been taken back and put into mine, and that it had been credited to my account. But I don't know. That's all I know. So, as long as the problem's been fixed, that's because all I was worried about was that it was going to look bad on my credit score. Because I'm one of these people. I don't do debt. I do not owe people money. Like, I don't like owing people money. I get everything paid off, and as soon as I get paid, my bills are paid immediately. Rent, council tax, gas bill, electric bill, everything is paid immediately. And I just didn't want it affecting my reputation for my bills. So, yeah, so, look, my food's gone cold now. Just I'm watching people on X, and it's like all X is there for is to feed you fear and dread and panic on purpose, because they gauge your reaction. And once you realise that COVID has been around for hundreds of years, but they named it malaria, they named it Spanish flu, they named it TB, they named it tuberculosis, they named it typhoid. And now HIV and AIDS is a consequence of the COVID vaccine and monkeypox and all of that. But it's all the same thing. It's nothing new. It's just an excuse to kill off the weaker of the species. But if you all come together, if we all stand together, if we pass Debbie's law, if we demand new elections, but stop voting for the same parties, because the Tories were no better than Labour, the Green will be no better than the Tories and Labour, Reform are no better than Tories and Labour and Green. It's going to be people like all these new ones. You all need to get together and start new political parties. There needs to be a law passed that everyone running for an election has to sign, that says that during my election pledge, I promise to do everything I'm setting out to do in my election pledge. And if I don't live up to my pledges, you can kick me out. It's unacceptable that we've got presidents and prime ministers taking money for these campaigns and then delivering nothing on anything they promised, and they're still in power. The only way you're going to deal with it is to impeach them. And if you Commonwealth petition the King, and class action lawsuits. If you've donated money to Starmer's campaign or any of his MPs or to Donald Trump, by law, if you can prove that you donated money to their campaigns and they didn't deliver on their campaign promises, you are allowed to sue. In America, he can be arrested by the federal marshals. But if you all get together with a good lawyer and launch a lawsuit to get your money back because they violated the election codes, it's all you got to do. Like, it's not hard. The solution isn't hard. You just have to stand together. You all just have to come together. Instead of crying about it on social media where these vampires feed on your misery and fear and then gauge what they're going to post next to make you even more afraid, because you have to understand when they feed you the fear, it raises your cortisol levels, and they drink off energetic adrenochrome, and it gives them a high, and it makes them feel powerful. So don't stand in fear, stand in defiance. But stand together, because you're stronger together. I'm telling you now, Debbie's Law, there's things you can do. I'm putting my life at risk every single time I post. Every day I get up, I'm giving them another reason to come after me by telling you all how to defend yourselves. It would be really nice to know that you were all out there appreciating my bloody sacrifice, because if you all listened to what I was saying, they'd all be gone by the end of the week, because they're cowards. And now that they're coming after their own military police force, by the time we all took to the streets and demanded change, or to the courts and demanded change, their police and military wouldn't be backing them either, because they've been treated like shit now too. Starmer's spying on his own police force. That's how paranoid he is. He's forcing the police to have to put up with being put under surveillance, including in their own homes, I might add. Because that's how paranoid he is now. Because he's terrified that the cops are all talking, conspiring behind his back. So his answer to it is spy on the cops. That's how messed in the head they are. That's because he knows that when he gets exposed and goes down, he's not going to be able to recover from any of it. So he's trying to get to the law before the law get to him. And if he can get a jump on them talking about him and plotting and planning behind his back on how they're going to bring him down, if he can get to them first, then he will. So by the time we all stand, we'll have the cops and the military standing with us too. In every country. And then bring in Debbie's Law, and then demand a change where anyone running for an election has to sign a legal waiver that says that whatever they pledge, they have to stand by. Otherwise, they can be removed from their position of power. And that's all you got to do. So I'm flabbergasted watching the King. And I don't know what's happened with this this deal that he's made with Trump about the whiskey. I figured it out yesterday. That's what Becoming Spellbound was all about, when she said don't drink the poison, asp. And about how Baron von Crumple wanted the seal. I figured out yesterday it's because, and I said it's a seal or a ring or something that only the King has. And it's to do with a whiskey seal that the King has. There's a special kind of whiskey that the King's mark is put on that makes the price of the whiskey exponential, and that'll be what Trump is wanting. He'll be wanting to sell his Kentucky bourbon as an elite form of whiskey because it's got the King's seal on it. But I'm telling you now, because of that warning, whatever the Kings agreed to or signed up to, it's going to backfire on him. If he's invested money in this or those glasses or anything like that, it's going to backfire on him. And he walked straight into it because he didn't listen to the warnings. When I saw the article yesterday about Melania Trump and Queen Camilla with those Meta glasses, and then I saw the article today about the Meta glasses being in a class action lawsuit for what they were what they were allowing to be seen in them, like people having sex and stuff like that, and how Meta are doing nothing to curb the, when they were asked what they were doing to protect children from being exploited online, and they were basically nothing. And I thought, and the King's just gone and put those glasses on. Well, the Queen Camilla has. And then Melania's, we're going to take the faces of all the kids in the AI. And then my pedophile friends of my husband can take the pedophile pictures like on the X. Like she was proud of it. Like it was something to be proud of. That'd be like, bragging that there's, like they've uploaded AI pornography of William and Catherine or something on, what's it called, Pornhub. Or the kids or something, like they're standing there smiling, oh yeah. But I can guarantee you, with Debbie's Law, see with my program that I've developed, if there's any child pornography that's got Charlotte's face on it, or Catherine's face, or Camilla's face, or Princess Anne's face, or the Queen's face, and I guarantee you it will be out there, we'd find it. And we'd be able to do what was necessary, because see, it's all fun and games until it's their grandkids and their daughters and their wives and that whose faces are being used on Grok Imagine and that for explicit content. It's all right when it's people like me, because I'm just a peasant. I'm worth nothing. But it'll be a different story when I'm pulling up things and saying, look, there's Catherine in a pose with a kid, or Charlotte in a situation with an Elon Musk dressed as a knight. So, you know, I'm one person. I've handed you all the answers. But the only way that this is ever going to be dealt with is if you all come to me and we all stand together. And then we can stop it. Right? So I'm going to go and finish my cold tea now. Luckily half of it's salad and chicken, but I'm going to be eating cold rice. So, yeah. Oh. You know what to do, people. I handed you the answers. It's just that we all have to come together as one. No matter what your country is, no matter what your religion is, we got to have Jews standing with Muslims, standing with Christians, standing with Hindus, standing with Sikhs, standing with Shintos, standing with atheists. Protestants and Presbyterians and Anglicans and all of it, pagans, we've all got to come together. This isn't about your skin colour, this isn't about your religion, this isn't about whose side of the fence you're on with politics, this isn't about your sexuality, and it's everything to do with people taking your face, taking your voice without your permission and using it to sell your identity, to become your identity, or use your identity for the purposes of pornographic material, including your children and grandchildren. And the oligarchs who own all this technology don't see a problem with it because they make too much money from it. And they're using the guise of, oh, we've got to bring in digital ID, children under 16, and if you want to use their PlayStation, you got to use it, and if you're going to use their cars, well, no, it's because they want to take your identity and use it however they see fit without your permission, because they're making you believe that without it, your life won't function. You won't get a bank account and blah, blah, blah. The second they stopped people from having access to their money or food, their towns and cities would be on fire and they'd be dragged out of their houses and beaten to death within an inch of their lives. I can guarantee you, because it's happened before in the past, hasn't it? So like I said today, these people have ruled for a couple of thousand years now, and everything comes to an end eventually, and this is them coming to an end, and you can tell because they're all looking hackett. Have you seen how old and ugly and decrepit they're looking? Bill Gates looks like he's on his last legs. Von der Leyen and Trump look like they're melting. Keir Starmer looks like he's about to have a nervous breakdown. They are not the signs of people who know they have power and control. These are people who are descending because they're losing power and control. These people are fighting in the courts. I think Keir Starmer's in court for like 5 different things. Donald Trump's in court for 4 or 5 different things. Von der Leyen's now been dragged to court for a couple of things. Bill Gates is in court all over the place. Elon Musk is in court all over the place. These aren't people who are in control. And it's what I keep saying, you can tell by their faces. All you have to do is look at their faces. If they're looking old, if they're looking tired, if their hair's going grey, if they're unkept, like they're not even like keep looking after their appearance anymore. Donald Trump has got a big white face with like an orange splodge on it where they're not even spreading out his spray tan anymore. He literally looks like he's wearing like an orange mask that's too small for his face, and his white skin is underneath. His double chins, he's looking greasy, which is a sign of a soul extraction. You can tell they're getting ready to have their souls removed from their bodies because you can see it in their faces. They look greasy, they're wrinkly, they're sagging, their hair's grey, their hair's a mess. They look like they've just woken up. Big bags under their eyes. Sagging chins. Von der Leyen looks like she's got a scrotum for a chin. Her and Trump look like they've got one ball sack each under their chin. Their thyroids are messing up. They're sagging. Because when God rips your soul out of your body, the gravity of the situation takes over, and as your body sinks, your soul is removed. It's like, how do I explain it? The weight of the world, the weight of the sins that you've committed on your conscience weighs so heavy that gravity works against you. And then as your soul is removed, the further away from your conscience you are, the darker your soul becomes, to the point where you end up being blinded from the light. You're blinded by darkness because you no longer have morals and ethics. So your conscience has no light, so your soul has no light. So when God is getting ready to remove your soul and force you to live hell on earth until it's time for you to be buried in the ground, it shows on your body. And like I was saying yesterday, some of the signs of a soul extraction are very similar to the uncommon signs of dementia, where you no longer have a sense of humour, where you lose your temper really easily, that sort of thing. And it's starting to show on the people I've just mentioned. You watch them. It's happening to the Argentinian dude as well. You see how quickly he's aging? Because they signed themselves over to Lucifer. They signed their souls to the devil. And now they're coming to collect. This isn't like death where God comes and strikes you down. This is where God allows Satan to rip your soul. Satan is the one who owns your soul when you've sold it to the devil. and it always shows on your face. So if you're not sure, like if you're sitting there thinking that these people are gloating and strutting because, you know, they've got one over on everyone, look at their faces from their clavicle bone up, because they get the saggy chins as well, because everything, like their body starts to sag from the weight, from the pressure. And unless they're using adrenochrome, you're going to see it on their faces. Like Ellen DeGeneres is a prime example. See what's happened to her. Classic example of someone who's having their soul extracted. Once they're exposed, once everyone knows what they've been up to, they can't hide it anymore. And so the fear of being caught weighs on them so much they become paranoid and they become psychopathic. I'm going to bring this and we're going to demand this and you're all going to be starved and denied of money and bombs and blah, because they're panicking. All you have to do is see the look on their faces. You can always tell with Bill Gates when he gets nervous because he shifts around a lot, he moves a lot, because that's showing his panic. Whereas Keir Starmer has a propensity to cross his legs and hold his hand. He puts one hand on the other to hold his hand down to stop him from moving, because he's trying to give the impression that he's got it all under control. But the fact that he crosses his legs and holds his hand down is proof that he's trying not to give anything away, because he knows that there's things out there that can read body language, and people like me read body language. Whereas Donald Trump is trying to act like, yeah, nah, there's nothing wrong, I'm just a cool guy and blah, blah, blah. And he over-explains and he over-talks to the point where he ends up babbling and not making any sense, and he like flaps his hands around and stuff because he's trying to distract from the truth. So all the hand movements that he does and all the over-explaining and then using abuse and criticism when he doesn't like the question, it's all a diversion tactic because he knows he's been exposed. So with those three in particular, whereas von der Leyen, she does this thing where she she lifts her head up and she talks like she's looking down on people. It's called an air of arrogance. Now that she's been exposed, when you see her talking, she does this thing where she lifts her chin like she's looking down on people or looking down on the person talking to her or interviewing her, and she puts this smirk on her face. But it's actually, if you look at the micro expressions properly, you'll actually see with the corner of her mouth, they slightly, sometimes they twitch, but they turn down a little like a clown smile while she's holding her chin up. And that's because she's trying to act like I'm above you, so it's not reaching me. But her mouth is saying otherwise. Her mouth is saying, don't cry, don't get angry, don't give them a reaction because they'll come for you. So just, I'm telling you, watch their faces, because it says everything. I mean, that's all I can say. I'm trying not to get involved because I've done all I can do. I'm just trying to get to Switzerland and build my foundation now. But if you're not going to do anything, I can't help you. But if you want something done, then I can help you. And Debbie's Law, I'm telling you now, would sort this shit out like boom. So it's up to you lot now. My email's in the description box. Otherwise, just let me go to Switzerland. You can sort it out yourself. But I have been trying to get you all to wake up and do something about this for as long as I've been working on my blog back in 2013, for as long as Starmer came into power, Trump won the election, and I uncovered the plane crashes. I've been banging the drum, blowing the whistle, banging on the xylophones, blowing trumpets, strumming guitars on full blast. I don't know what else to do. I know I'm heavily shadow banned, but I also know that there's dozens of you that are out there listening to my stuff. So, you know, I can only do so much. But it looks like the way the king's going, we're going to end up losing the monarchy. Because he's just handed himself over to the conspiracy theorists now. There's nothing more I can do. They got him. They got him. I said they were going to do everything they could to destroy his reputation and throw his family under the bus. Well, that's exactly what's happened. And whatever he's done with this whiskey thing and that Meta Glasses thing is going to come back to bite him in the ass. His mother warned him, don't drink the poison, don't drink it, don't drink it, don't drink it. And he drank it. So it means I'll have to rewrite becoming spellbound to him drinking the poison. All I know is that in Spellbound, the people who got him to drink the poison end up in court for it. So we'll just have to see what God has planned there. But it just means that I'll have to rewrite that bit where he drinks the alcohol. I had to do research on which horse races the royal family went to where they drank alcohol. Remember, I was like, Ascot. They drink alcohol when they go to Ascot. So I made the races at Ascot, but it turns out it's the Kentucky Derby, because that's where the whiskey is. I didn't know it back then when I wrote it, but I just knew it had something to do with horse racing and alcohol. So yeah, this is going to come back to bite the king, and it's going to bring some sort of shame. It's like, but what else can I do? I've warned him. I've warned everyone. I've given you all the answers. This isn't hard. The answers to fix all of this, it's not complicated at all, but it just requires everyone standing together, putting differences aside. Nobody can be hating on Jews. Nobody can be hating on Muslims or Christians or black people, white people, Asian people, Middle East. Nobody can be hating on anyone, because this affects every single person on the planet, including the royal family, including celebrities and their children, and people in power and their children. You've seen what Grok AI have done with Donald Trump and Keir Starmer. You've seen the stuff that's been made since he went to war with Iran. You see the stuff that's been made. I guarantee you 100% some of that stuff's been turned into like cartoon-based animated pornography. So it protects everybody, everyone. But they didn't take that into account, eh? They didn't, because they're not very smart. They didn't take any of this into account. And there's people out there who are using it, who are smart enough to take their identities and trick other people into thinking that they're talking to them online for the purposes of coercing them into taking photos, sending videos, and sending money. And when the cops turn up, when the fraud investigation unit's been called, you know, like, for example, this stuff that happened to me, what if the cops turned up on Yodok's doorstep and said, oh, you've been talking to 40 different people on X, asking them for money, but no, I didn't. Well, yeah, because here's the accounts, here's the photos that you sent, how is he going to defend himself until he's able to point out that it's AI? Well, see, Debbie's Law and my program would sort all of that out. It would eliminate 90% of the internet's problems just like that. So we need to get it out there, people. I can show you what to do, but we got to stand together. You got to put your placards down. You got to put your prejudices and differences aside, regardless of your country, your religion, your political affiliations, your sexual identity. There can be no bias, because we're all in the same boat in this. And the only way we're going to get off the shipwreck and onto that island as if we all start rowing together. Okay? Okay. So, support me. You know where I am. As long as I know I've got the support, I can keep pushing for it. But you need to understand that every time I post, I'm being watched and monitored by dozens of countries waiting for the opportunity to remove me from the equation because I'm the biggest troublemaker they have. Because I see things coming that they don't. They can't stand the fact that their AI and their soldiers and that can't figure out how I use quantum magnetics. So I'm able to navigate the answers by way of seeing what's coming and then working out the equation. If that's the end result and this is the beginning of the equation, how do we get to the answer at the end of the equation? And I work it like that. Well, Debbie's law and my program is the equation. To have them at Nuremberg, to have them being impeached, to have them being kicked out as president, blah, blah, blah. This is the answer. This is the equation. This plus this equals this. I see I see the solution. So I see the result, and then I have to use quantum magnetics to find the solution. And they can't do that. They don't know how to do it. Because they have no conscience. AI doesn't have a conscience. And the people that run the AI and create the AI and enforce the AI, they don't have a conscience. And in order to use quantum magnetics, in order to time jump, or time travel, as they call it, you need a conscience. You wouldn't withstand the frequency otherwise. If you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in the concept of a creator, you're never going to have access to the quantum fields. So them running around pretending to be Christians and that doesn't mean anything because you can't lie in the frequency. That's the other thing. When you're standing in God's truth, it's impossible to lie. That's why they blurt out and admit things. Because devils and demons can't lie in the presence of God. It's impossible. So they can take whatever DNA they want from me and clone it into whatever they want. It will never be me. Because my life and everything I've had to survive since I was conceived in my mother's womb and had to survive her cervical cancer and all of that, right through to now, is the reason why I'm able to do what I do. A clone wouldn't have my life. It's my life. It's my life story that created my power because of everything I've had to overcome and survive, because I had to rely purely on faith to help me get through it. And if you don't believe in God, you don't have faith. And whoever God is to you, whoever you believe created you, is God. Whether it's the universe, whether it's space dust, whether it's a Christian God, a Muslim God, or whatever God. Whoever you believe is the reason why you're here. If you don't have faith in that, then you're never going to have my ability as a time jumper. So cloning doesn't do anything. Not when it comes to quantum magnetics. The only other person I know who's going through an ascension at the moment, their powers are teleportation. Living human flesh teleporting. I wrote about it in The Time Jumping Detective because his sidekick Fraser is based on my friend that's mastering the ability of teleportation through thought. At the moment it only seems to be happening between the two of us, but he's only just started his ascension. So I'm creating super soldiers that no military, no CIA, no Palantir, no AI program, no nothing can develop or will ever develop. because they have no conscience. And your conscience is the light of the universe. Your conscience is what expands the universe and keeps it evolving and growing. And people like that have no conscience, so they're being pulled backwards and they're descending. As people like me and my friend in that are ascending, people like Trump and Starmer are descending. And you can tell the difference. Because we're the ones who have been put through hell, and we've survived it through standing in positivity and love and light and laughter and music and finding the reasons to get up every morning, the reason for the fight. Whereas the people who have created hell are now in living hell, and every time they open their mouths, it's doom and destruction and gloom and negativity and aggression and paranoia and defensiveness, and that's the difference. So who are you going to listen to? The people that know how to survive hell because they've come out of it, or the people who are creating hell because they're living in it? Because the ones who have survived hell are the ones that are going to be building the foundation. And we're showing you how to get through the darkest days until powers like them are removed. And they will be removed, I promise you. I know it doesn't seem like it now, but I promise you, people like Bill Gates and the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum and Donald Trump and Keir Starmer and Labour and all that, they're on their way out. You can't see it yet because they're distracting you with fear-mongering. But I'm above all that, so it can't affect me. When I watch them, it gives me more solutions to the problems I've created. So I'm flying above it, looking down. But it's to lift you out of it. But in order to lift you out of it, you all have to let go of your fear and step into faith. Because it's a better world where I'm living. And if you don't have faith in anyone, have faith in me. Because I'm promising you now, other than the king making his choice and it changing the course of his fate, I haven't been wrong about a single thing. And I'm telling you now, Bill Gates ends up getting the death penalty. Same with von der Leyen. Trump is found on the floor with his heart stopped. Elon Musk, I think, is some sort of addiction, OD addiction thing. Starmer goes to prison. All the rest of them end up at The Hague. Everybody agrees that they've made everyone else on the planet the Jews and they're all the Nazis. And we know what happened to the Nazis after World War II when they went to The Hague. So, but unlike Hitler, Trump won't escape it. You just got to have faith. You've got to have faith. You've just got to have faith. I'll prove it to you. Bring it on, Lord. Thunderbolt. Strike someone. Over the bank holiday weekend. Make people clutch their pearls and go, oh my God, she was right. It's just you have to understand everything has to happen with divine timing because he's planning on taking them all down together. It's not going to be like getting Gates 1 year and von der Leyen the next and Trump 10 years down the line. He's lining everyone up so that one falls, they all fall like dominoes. He's lining everyone up into perfect position now. And then what will happen is there'll get to be general elections, but people will be smarter this time and not vote for the popular parties. There'll be new parties that pop up. We're not going to have that happen again. I'll bloody run. You know, like I was saying, I'll run for Prime Minister. I'll do it properly. It'll be people like me. If I've inspired anyone with my solution of, well, look, if nobody's going to do it, I'll do it sort of thing. If I've inspired anyone to run as an MP and then run for Prime Minister or maybe even run for President of their country because I gave them the inspiration to do so, then bloody well do it. But don't make any promises to the people in your pledges through your campaigns and that you don't intend to keep. If we're going to break the cycle of people in political power and people of power getting away with lies, it starts with us when we bring the next lot in. There are farmers out there in Great Britain that would make fantastic Prime Ministers and MPs because they'd be making sure that what happened to them didn't happen to the next generation of farmers. If these people that have been running businesses for 30, 40 years who got screwed over by the Labour government, they're the perfect people to run for Prime Minister because they would never screw over business owners the way that Labour screwed over them. Do you see what I mean? You have it in you and you would have the backing of the people as long as you stick by your word and that you put the people before the politicians and you put the country before any other country on the planet. And if you just stick to those rules and you're honest and you pledge to fix everything they broke and mean it, then people will support you 100%. Be the change you want to see in the world. So that's what I was saying. Well, if I've got to run for Prime Minister to make change, I'll do it. But the thing is, I don't really want to be Prime Minister. I just want to go to Switzerland and build my school and be with my friends. I don't want to, like I've been at this so many years now. I'm tired. I don't want to have to fight any more wars for people. No offence, but I've been at this a long time, people. I've earned my retirement. I've earned my right to put my sword down unless I'm protecting the kids from my school. I can protect the kids in my school from the AI monsters, unlike the kids in America that Melania Trump has just handed over to international pedophiles all around the world. And she was proud of it. And then got the king's wife involved. So, but if you have me, Switzerland, that's if they'll have me. I have no guarantee I'm going to have. They might turn around and say no after a year. Or I have to buy the golden visa thing. But you know what to do. And I know what to do. And that's why when I get to Switzerland, I'll get everything ready to go. And then I'm going to state my case to the UN. So if they're going to force us to use AI and digital, we're going to hold them accountable for it in the courts. They'll shut it down pretty bloody fast once they're having to pay fines for allowing a third party in a different country to gain access to your information, your ID, your face, your photo, and using it without your permission, or it's been turned into pornography or fake accounts on social media. They'll be singing a different tune when they've got to pay like $1,000 for every time that your identity's been stolen or violated. But the only way it's going to happen is if I have enough backing and support from the people, and it needs to be global. and it would protect the police officers that Starmer's wanting to violate. It would protect the military. It would protect everybody who's been forced by paranoid psychopaths to give over your biometrics to a band of pedophiles and human traffickers who can fake you. If they can fake you having sex with children or adults or whatever, regardless of your age, they can fake you committing crimes. With Debbie's law, I would make it so that every country that used AI would have to disclose that it was AI they were using, so if it came up as pornography, it would come up and say AI generated. Or if it comes up saying you're committing a crime, AI generated. Like under Debbie's law, you'd be forced by law to have like a AI stamp. So, like I said, if they're going to force us to use it, we're going to hold them accountable. Or, like I keep saying, get them out of power. It's not hard. And then it's not going to be a problem. But it just requires everyone standing together. While they're dividing everyone, fighting over this person's a Jew and that person's a Muslim and dirty Christians and, patriots, bleh, sort of thing. Democrats this and Republicans that. While they've got everybody fighting each other, they're getting away with murder. They're committing atrocities to children and violating your personal rights, allowing people, I don't know how this person got access to my account. I don't know how that happened, but I'm not being told anything. But when it's getting to that point, and then they're also threatening, well, if you don't do it, we're going to not let you have access to your money, their cities will be on fire within 5 minutes. They'll be dragged out of their houses, and I know something's coming because I predicted it back in 2016, where people would be getting dragged out of their houses by hordes, some of them being hung up by their ankles and that on street lamps, having their heads kicked in, all sorts. It's coming. We're getting closer and closer to it. And with a lot of them, it'll be their own cops and security guards and all that are turning on them too. I know that's what happens with Soros. Some of them, it's their own that turn on them because they've pushed everyone too far. And now because they're threatening, we're going to stop your cars, we're going to stop you having access to food, we're going to stop you having access to your bank because we can. They've pushed people over the edge now. And this whole not doing anything about the people on the Epstein list and protecting people on the Epstein list like Keir Starmer and all of that, it's tipped people over the edge. But what you need to understand is that with that, the Bill of Rights and Petition of Rights and all of that, your kings and your presidents and all that, they can't go to war without asking permission from the voter first, because the voters are the ones who fund it. And in Great Britain, if the king wants to go to war with someone, like with the War of Independence, he had to borrow the money from the taxpayer with the promise he'd paid it back, and he never did. So with the king declaring his support for Ukraine and saying, supporting this war in Ukraine, he's got to borrow money from the taxpayer to go to war with the promise he's going to pay it back. Because that's what all that dream I had about no taxation without representation. Otherwise, you can withhold your taxes. You don't pay council tax and you don't pay, was it called state tax or government tax? But it would require all the people who pay your wages to agree not to take the tax out of your wages, or you just down tools and don't work. It means that you'd have to stock up for a week, but all it would take to shut this shit down is if every single person on the planet just down their tools for 1 week and refuse to do a single thing. Don't buy anything, don't go anywhere, don't purchase anything, no groceries, no gas, no nothing, but stock up and then have that 1 week where no doctors, no nurses, no paramedics, no cops, no teachers, no people in shops, no hairdressers, no nothing. Every single person just stopped working for 7 days. And that's it, they'd be finished. They'd lose so much money, they wouldn't have a choice but to stand down. But they don't want you to know that you as the voter and you as the taxpayer hold all the power. The government and the police and lawyers and judges and that are civil servants, which means that they are servants for the civilian. The civilian servants. Look it up. It's all there on my X. I spelled it out yesterday. And weeks ago and months ago. So, yeah, my dinner's really cold now, so I'm going to go. But there are things you can do. You just got to have faith, and we've got to stand together. This is my last one, because I just don't want to deal with this anymore. I want to get back to writing my opera and coming up with my kids' shows and stuff. So I'll speak to you later. I love you. Ka kite anō. Mwah.